आपादमौलिपर्यन्तां गुरूणामाकृतिं स्मरे तेन विघ्नं प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्धन्ति च मनोरथः लक्ष्मीं तनोतु नितरामितरानपेक्षमङ्कृत्वयं निगमशाखिशिखा प्रवालं हैरम्बमम्बुरहडम्बरचौर्यनिग्रहं विघ्नाद्रिभेदशतधारधुरन्तरण्यः सर्वेषां स्वागतं. So we've seen in the previous Samskara session how Maya has led to Vidya and Avidya to Ahankara, individualized self. And we have to break through Ahankara, give up Ahankara. Then we have to understand that that what is Avidya, then give up Avidya. That means we have to get the true Jnana. Then we have to break through Maya. Then we will understand Brahman. But what is the complication in this? The complication is that Samsara doesn't allow us to do that. Why Samsara doesn't allow us to do that? Now we'll take a primary example of Kriya. The Sharira has resulted out of Ahankara. It is an instrument. Now the instrument is not allowing me to understand the true nature of Brahman. The only way I can understand is that I have to process information beyond the capabilities of these instruments. So therefore, the instruments must be given up as a whole. Rewrite must be given up as a whole. That means we have to go beyond it. We have to process information that is way beyond the capabilities of the Sharira. The question is, how is that possible if we keep indulging the Sharira through Kriyas of Samsara? Samsara is telling me that we have to keep doing some or the other Kriyas. So I'm always indulging in that. When I am indulging continuously in that, when can I give it up? Why should I give it up? There is one more aham bhava that is coming out of indulgence in samsara. The falsehood that I am a doer. Aham bhava, we have not even gone to the doer this thing. Aham bhava in the initial stages is just discrimination, that's all. But in samsara, when we start to indulge, we start to get this bhavana that we are the ones who are doing it because I am the one who is doing this kriya. So the kriyas are giving this false understanding that I am the person who is performing these acts. Because of this indulgence, now it is very difficult for me to go back to that ahankara, that ahambhava, initial phase, where I just started to discriminate, no, that one. Only when I stop discriminating, I reach avidya. When I stop understanding avidya, and when I start to understand that what is true nature, then avidya goes away. Then I have to see what is maya, then maya goes away. So this is a huge regressive process. Now, because samsara is complete plurality, indulgence in that plurality, because I'm indulging in all these kinds of manifested forms, it is not telling me or it is not even allowing me to understand that there is Advaya nature of Brahman. This is the problem, that indulgence in samsara has led me to think in a state where I am the doer. So this creation of samsara is due to the karmas that has resulted out of the instruments. Practically speaking, it is. So karma, that is the jiva's actions that is driven by the upadhis, that is the contraptions, equipments, that is binding us to the nature of samsara, that is the cycle of birth and death. So therefore we say there is rebirth because some kriya ichha is pending, therefore there is rebirth. So that is where we are experiencing dukkha also. So this has resulted in an ever manifesting samsara for us. So this is the complicated understanding of how the whole process is taking place. So first, what happens due to primary merger of primordial matter and the energy, there is manipulations caused, and therefore those manipulations are giving something, some kind of a byproduct. That byproduct is leading to some kind of akara. That akara is what is covering the whole of the Brahman and stopping. It is kind of separating the manifesting self and the unmanifested self. That means that part which can be, that part which cannot be. Like we take a whole huge boulder. There is some part of that boulder which is good enough to make a murti out of it. Maybe it is softer, maybe it can be chipped properly, etc. etc. So how are we supposed to separate it? This particular Maya is separating that tattva which can be separated. It is creating a kind of divide. Then that particular tattva, it is, because it is separated now, it is not able to realize. Now it is not coming out exactly. It is within the Brahman only. But it is creating a separate entity within that Brahman where it is, feeling separated. Some scope, some separation, like a cell wall. All the cells are essentially the same thing, but there is a cell membrane that is separating it, like that. So it is creating that kind of a barrier. Now, because of that kind of barrier, what happens? The true nature of the primordial matter is not realized. Now, this particular habitat, within this particular habitat, it starts to create its own perceptions, because it is not able to realize the true tattva, true energy. What happens is it starts to come into its own understanding. That is avidya and ahankara. When the ahankara occurs, it starts to create its own senses. It starts to create its own instruments. It starts to create its own habitat. When it does that, what happens? It starts to indulge in that particular process. Whatever it has created, it is going to start indulging in that. That results in samsara. One of the best examples for this is economics. Economics started by humans. It is a science that started by humans only. It started very primordially when we had different needs and we wanted to trade. From that point onwards, we have reached a stage where whole of the banking system, the economic systems of all the countries are dependent on a human manifested, human made system. There existed civilizations even before economics flourished. But today, we decided on a society, on a limitation, on a civilization. Then we started recognizing there is one more civilization. There is separation of this civilization, my civilization, from another civilization. Then there is trading happening. From that trading, new structures came about. Some exchange rate systems, some currency systems, something like that. Then to balance those uh, systems, we brought in more complications, more systems, demand, supply, etc., etc. We started understanding it. And now there has to be regulatory authorities to manage it. So it is a human made system, human made science, but we have indulged in it so much that we have started creating that itself out to be the greatest system. No other system actually tells us about Sushasan, good administration, unless and until there is economic prosperity involved. If you look at many other texts, if you look at the concept of Ramaraja or in any of the texts, the mention of economic prosperity is not much. It is that there is no dukkha. There were no widows, saying that there were no wars, because most of the people used to be, the men used to be involved in uh, be become soldiers. Therefore there were no wars, there was no death, and therefore there are no widows. So this was this thing, the train of thought. Then the only amount of prosperity that they speak about is with respect to drought. There was no droughts. They say there were enough food for everyone. This is what they say with respect to economic prosperity. Today, economic prosperity has become the structure for good administration. So when we say Sushasan, when we say Ramarajya, today's Vyakhya of Ramarajya will not fit into the previous years. It will not find any part in it. Because whatever is given as per Ramarajya will not even be sufficient for this particular era or this particular understanding of it. So here there comes a the notion of freedom to do whatever we want, etc., etc., etc. So these are all manifested out of humans only. These are not these are not initial, or these are not original concepts. This is something that we have come up with. Because nobody had a problem with kingship, or nobody had a problem with monarchy as long as it was prosperous. In fact, nobody had a problem even if it was bad also, because nobody could say anything at that point of time. People started getting the idea when the individual self, when we started manifesting with an individual self, that is, individual ideas started to flourish. So there comes Ahankara. Whether it's bad or good, manifested wise, it is bad totally when it comes to spiritually. So understanding of Ahankara can be seen in real life. It has manifested. Economics that has gone to such a great extent to bring about these structures, institutions that can monitor, that can uh, regulate our day-to-day activities also. We have done so much now. But without money, we cannot do anything. What is that a result of? It is a result of an economic structure. It is a result of our own creation. We created it, not anybody else. So there itself, we know that this samsara is like quicksand. We think, okay, we can start with something and we can come back. But it is of such a nature that once you get into it, it is very difficult for us to get out. So the first thing that needs to be given up is indulgence in samsara itself. And then further, if we go, then how to get out of samsara, then we have to understand, we have to withdraw our senses. Yoga also plays a big role over here. So like that. So all in all, these four things are chronologically set so that we understand there is Maya, then there is Avidya, Ahankara, then there is Samsara, the resultant factor. This Samsara has that power, it has the ability to keep us preoccupied with something or the other. We have to first get away from Samsara, then we need to give up Aham Bhava. After we give up Aham Bhava, then we understand what is avidya and vidya, what is true knowledge. First, we need to understand that. Then start to pursue the true knowledge. Avidya will end immediately when vidya comes into play. When we get that jnana, true jnana, avidya will end. But we need to know what is true jnana also for that. So, me understanding through words that Brahman is Satchidananda is getting away from avidya, but it is not clear yet. I have not realized it. Getting the true gnana itself is true gnana. That is, realizing Brahman is what is the true Jnana. Until that point of time, avidya will not go away. So understanding the nature is different, realizing the nature is different. To realize the nature, we have to go past the Maya. That is what is the whole philosophy over here. With that, we will end this Saṃskāra session. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः प्रतिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषा गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि।